Why are habits so important? How much of our daily behaviors are habits? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of habits, why they are so powerful, and why if you change your habits, you can change your life. Hi, I'm Phil from Habit Bootcamps, and a lot of times people ask me why I am focusing on habits. Habit seems like these automatic small behaviors that we do each day. But in this video, I want to talk about why these small behaviors each day are so important. We get a lot of tips about how to be successful instantly, magic pill solutions, things that will suddenly change your life. But what we often don't realize is there are a lot of things and actions we do, beneficial or detrimental, that we do daily, that are habits, and that we're not even aware of. Researchers have found out that almost 40% of our daily actions and behaviors are habits. More than 40%. It has also been suggested that about 80% of our behavior is reaction and about 20% of our behavior is choice. So that's about 40% of our behavior that are habits and about 80% of our daily actions and behaviors that are a reaction and not a consciously made choice and action. Habits are the architecture of everyday life. They provide a foundation that we do certain things, whether we feel like it or not, it's almost our second nature. That's why they feel so natural, because they almost feel like a second nature. But it takes a while for habits, good or bad habits, to start feeling like second nature. We spend a large part of our life developing habits, and we mostly spend the other part of our life being controlled by those habits. Almost nothing that you do once will change your life, but something you do daily and consistently, that will definitely determine your day, your week, your life, your future, and your destiny. Because even with small steps, if you keep on taking small steps in a certain direction, in a long run, you will really have traveled a long distance in a certain direction, whether it be a detrimental or a beneficial direction. Now, as I said, it takes a while for things to become a habit and to become second nature. Our brain is kind of like an efficiency machine. If we keep on repeating things and doing things in a certain way, our brain takes over and says, we're gonna do it for you so you can save some attention and willpower and energy so you don't have to think about it anymore. That way we can free up brain power for more important challenges. Can you imagine if we have to consciously decide about every single action and behavior that we would do? We would be so exhausted and it would just not be manageable anymore. In the beginning it's difficult, but the more you start repeating it, the easier and the more comfortable it gets. This is also the difference between the intentional mind and the habitual mind. With the intentional mind, you set an intention to change a certain behavior. You're gonna have to work consistently, diligently, and patiently to make sure that this repeated action and behavior becomes a habit. In the beginning, you use the part of your brain that is called the basal ganglia. It's a part of the prefrontal cortex and it also works with your working memory. That way, it will make sure that you make the right decisions. When you keep repeating the same behavior in the same context, the information gets reorganized in the brain. It creates a sensory motor loop that takes it over and is not focused on the goal or outcome anymore, but is just mostly focused on the process. It shifts from a goal-oriented response to a context-oriented response. This also explains why habits are pretty rigid behaviors. So when we have an intentional mind, we're really clearly focused on our intention or goal or desired outcome. But when our habitual mind is engaged, it happens largely outside of our awareness. We can't easily articulate anymore how or why we do our habits. It's almost our second nature. Willpower is a limited resource, and when you run out, you fall back on habits. And you also need willpower to install and build new habits. Habits help us get through the day. We don't always have to do something with an intention and focus deeply on it. No, our brain takes over and makes it easier for us. We don't have to be engaged as much as before because the behavior has become habitual. According to Wendy Wood, professor of psychology and business at the University of Southern California, you need 3 principles to install and build a behavior. Number one, you must derail existing habits and create a new window of opportunity and act on those new intentions. So somebody who moves to a new city or starts with a new job, that's a great new window of opportunity, for instance. Because when the cues for an existing habit have been removed, it's easier to create a new habit. Number two, repetition is key. There is this myth that it takes about 21 days or 66 days to form a habit. On average, it takes about 15 to 254 days to form a habit. So realize that you're in it for the long run. The more you repeat a certain action in a certain context, the more that behavior will become a habit. And number three, stable context cues. The more you repeat a certain kind of behavior in a stable context, the more the new pattern will be triggered. So the more you repeat something, the more you act on your intentions, and the more it happens in the same environment, the more chances you have that it will become a habit. It's easier to maintain a behavior if it's repeated in a specific context. So this is how habits work. They can work for us, good habits, or they can work against us, bad habits. Mostly habits are outside of our awareness. They were formed in a previous period in our life and they are hard to get rid of. Bad habits are easy to form but hard to get rid of. Good habits are hard to form but easy to maintain. So realize that a big part of our life are just automatic behaviors that we do daily. 40% of our daily behavior and actions are habits. But that still means that we can change what we do daily. And when we change what we do daily, we can truly change our life. It takes a while to really replace a bad habit, because if you're only going to focus on the bad habit and the negative, you don't have something to replace it with. So in order to break a habit, you have to change the habit by something constructive. So that is why habits are so important. They lay outside of our awareness, so we're not really aware how important they are. But if you would take a look at how much of the things that you do, the thoughts that you have, your mindset, and the actions that you take are habitual, are habits, you will be amazed and astonished. Imagine that if these small steps you could change patiently and consistently, how much your life and personality and lifestyle could change. That's the power of habits in the long run. You might not notice how much of your behavior are habits, but realize that if you focus on these things and you start tackling them one by one, installing the good ones and getting rid of the bad ones, you can truly make a big impact and change in your life and in other people's their life. So that's the power of habits. We can have good habits control us or bad habits control us. But even if it controls us, we can still step back, take a look at it and see if we can change it, if we replace it with something that is more beneficial to us. So that is the power of habits. Take a look at your daily behavior, what you do. Is it working out for you? Is it serving you? Is it beneficial or is it detrimental? Realize that if you pay attention to them and you start changing them with a more beneficial behavior, you can really start changing the daily architecture of your everyday life. So you don't have to let these habits control your life. You can start controlling your life through controlling these habits. Because if you change your habits, you truly can change your life. Hey, it's Phil from Houte Bootcamps, and if you like my channel, don't forget to subscribe and check out some more videos about how to install good habits, quit bad habits, and get rid of addictions.